Hello, my fellow historians. It's your main man, the Retro Historian in here, and I am back for yet another gaming video. And today, we're going to be doing yet round 2 of the campaign trail today. Last time, we played as Hannibal Hamlin, when we prevented Andrew Johnson and Seymour from taking control of the White House. This time around, we're going to be trying to oust Martin Van Buren. And you might be wondering, what do I have against Van Buren? I mean, well, aside from his horrible handling of the economy in 1837, and his horrible actions that led to the Trail of Tears, one of the things that I just personally can't stand about Martin Van Buren is his campaign song. I mean, listen to this trash.
Rock-a-bye, baby, daddy's a Whig. When he comes home, hard cider he'll swig. When he has swug, he'll fall in a stew. And down will come Tyler and Tippecanoe.
I mean, seriously. I mean, Rockabye Baby? What kind of campaign song is that? Now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, Retro, maybe he used it because he was a young guy and he was trying to symbolize his age over his opponent, Harrison. Well, that argument doesn't work in this scenario, as Martin Van Buren was almost 60 when he originally ran. So, yeah, just because of that awful campaign song, we're going to play as Martin Van Buren, but we're not going to try very hard. I mean, because I can't stand this guy, so we're just going to play as him. And, of course, we're going to try to win, but I wouldn't be too upset if Harrison beat us. Oh, yeah, none. I forgot that Martin Van Buren actually ran with nobody, because his vice president, Richard M. Johnson, was actually a very controversial guy, because he had an affair with an enslaved woman. And I know Thomas Jefferson did it when he was president, but he was more covert about it, and although some people knew about it, most people back then weren't unaware of Thomas Jefferson's affair with Sally Hemings. In fact, I don't think it really came out until, the 90s? So that's why Thomas Jefferson was able to get away with it, while Richard Johnson got totally punished for it. Johnson is the current vice president, and the one you favor as your running mate again this year. However, he's riddled with scandals, including his affair with an enslaved woman, drawing scorn from both slaveholders and abolitionists alike. His vice presidency has been subpar at best, just like Van Buren's presidency, as he has also neglected his vice presidential duties for his own economic affairs, and is proving to be a liability. Because of this, most party figures are trying to replace him on the ticket. However, if you care enough, you can intervene to keep him on the ticket, but at a rather hefty cost. Geographically, he could help in the South and keep everything consistent. It should be noted that Johnson served under General Harrison and killed Tecumseh himself. And we also have James K. Polk, who is the Speaker of the House, and would later become president in his own right, basically become the third and final Jacksonian president. Alright, so let's just select James K. Polk. Okay, so far we're winning, but I know for a fact this is likely not going to last very long. Let's take a step back to the Electoral College convening to select you as president. While you should win the Electoral College without issue, Representative Johnson's having a hard time getting through, as 19 electors have voted for radical states' rights proponent William Smith instead. This puts Johnson on one vote short of getting the 148 vote majority. Is there anything you'd like to do to ensure he gets through? Oh yeah, because I forgot, because the thing is, the president and the vice president, they both have to be elected in. I forgot about that. Okay, let's see. Your instincts proved correct, and Johnson's confirmed in the Senate near unanimously. Something gloomy is looming on the horizon. An economic depression, it seems. Jackson, your mentor and predecessor, is urging you to hold the line. However, economists are arguing you do something fast. Well, let's just listen to Andrew here, because, I mean, he was a really popular president at the time, so unfortunately, Jackson's policies are the reason you're in this precarious position. Due to your lack of intervention, this minor economic crisis becomes a full-on depression. Where does that seem familiar? Deeply damaging your re-election chances. Additionally, several members of your party, including William Rives, have bolted. Now it's really close. Harrison's actually beating us by quite a bit now. Dang. Retro! There are a growing number of backwoods conflicts in Vermont and New York, where raiders from the United States have been launching attacks into Upper Canada. What will you do about this small but developing crisis? Obviously, we don't want yet another war with Britain, because, I mean, at this point, that would be just suicidal. I mean, because the War of 1812 barely worked in our favor, so I mean, as nobody really won. The US didn't win, Britain didn't win. Had it not been for the rally around the flag effect, we probably would have lost. But send down General Scott. Scott is able to end the conflict by negotiating with British governors, and Congress passes a series of acts affirming American neutrality. Alright, so I think... Wait, what? How did being neutral make it worse? What on earth? Retro! Mr. Van Buren, another issue for you to deal with is the Indian Removal Act. Oh, this is going to be controversial. Signed by Jackson in 1830, is due for enforcement. Would you care to delay its enforcement or make moves to enforce it at the present moment? Okay, let me see. So, it's nothing really about Indian removal right here. Yeah, so we're going to halt Indian removal. We're going to go against Jackson here. Because if it's unpopular, not to mention, if it's also going against Supreme Court ruling, we shouldn't do it. 0? What does that mean? Congratulations, Mr. President. With no opposition, you've received the Democratic nomination to stand for a second term at the convention in Baltimore, Maryland. What will you be your campaign pitch this election? So basically, we need to just go after the Whigs. Actually, let's just tie ourselves to Jackson. This is a good response to fire up the base, but has little appeal elsewhere. Perhaps it is for the best, considering your deficit in the polls. Okay, again, that just did nothing. South Carolina's going for us by 100%? Good lord. Okay, oh yeah, I forgot. South Carolina back then, for most of history, was basically a one-party state. Last time South Carolina voted Democrat was actually Jimmy Carter in 1976. They've been Republican ever since. But for the longest time, they were Democratic. Since the election of 1828, newspapers coordination has been the key to generating popular support. Several newspaper owners have approached you asking if you have your permission to make cartoons in support of your effort. Will you accept them? Yeah, we'll do it. This is always a safe strategy, not as much changes in any case. Let's see. Oh, no, I did worse? Oh, no. So making political cartoons killed me? Oh, come on. Retro! Do you have any comments on the Amistad case? A U.S. Supreme Court case involving 53 illegally kidnapped Africans who revolted on the Spanish slave ship L.A. Armstead, demanding to be returned to Africa, but were intercepted by U.S. forces. This seems like something that Trump would say. This decision was a farce by radical abolitionist Supreme Court justices, and the radical John Quincy Adams said, frankly, I'll be appointing more big, beautiful Supreme Court justices to overturn this horrendous decision by the fake news media.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, that's my really bad Trump impression. Actually, let's just support the court's decision, because I just wanted to make a bad Trump impression. This is a popular response in the North, and you've definitely boosted your popularity in the eyes of future historians at the expense of the South. So despite expanding my popularity with historians, it didn't do anything. Tariffs have been a hot issue in the Republic, and a sectional one as well. The South supports low tariffs and free trade, while the North favors high protective tariffs. And this would become an issue that the U.S. would be fighting over for a very long time. Because all the way up until, the 1910s? The North was always pro-tariff and pro-industry, while the South was always pro-free trade. Now the entire country is pro-free trade for the most part, because I don't think anybody supports tariffs anymore, because they simply just don't work anymore. In fact, if this video gets 30 likes, I'll make a documentary about tariffs and why they don't work anymore, because I definitely do think that's something that should be discussed. So let's go the Democratic answer to say I support low tariffs and free trade. This is the party line. Okay, oh no, that killed me. No. So by taking the party line, it killed me even more. Damn. Retro. Man, this is like retro fails all over the place today. With the panic ongoing, the banking issue has been pushed to the forefront of the nation, with many Americans eager to hear your take. What is your stance on the banking system? You support a national bank. Okay, we're just gonna say I would, but let's do it. Many Democrats are surprised to hear you hedge on the banking system. Well, that's because you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, good. So we have to act like a Whig in order to win. So we need to basically turn into a Whig. You and Jackson have convinced the party to select former Speaker and Tennessee Governor James K. Polk as your running mate. Polk, despite being relatively unknown on the national stage, holds decent popularity. His selection has invigorated the southern wing of the party and reinforces your Jacksonian appeal. But is there anything else you would like to add? Mr. Polk represents the next generation of Democratic leaders, ambitious, principled, and a loyal Jacksonian. I'm grateful to be I assume that's a typo. I'm confident he'll make an excellent vice president. Polk is a popular figure despite his relative obscurity, and his selection has galvanized the party in the South. Wait, is my advisor James Buchanan? Oh no! James Buchanan? Really? No wonder why I'm losing. I mean, when you have the future worst president of American history advising you, you're better off dead.
Damn, not here.
Oh my god! 208 to 69? Oh my god! How did selecting Polk kill me that badly? Oh my god! Retro! Speaking of Vice President Johnson, will you distance yourself from the moral conduct of him during the campaign due to his common law marriage with a octoroon slave woman? Which back then, octoroon basically meant that they were 1/8% African American and 7/8 white. Because a lot of slaves back then were actually mixed race due to the fact of their masters mixing with them, which is just so weird today hearing that kind of rhetoric. But just slavery just disgusts me. Oh hell no, we're not sticking with that guy. We're distancing ourselves. This is probably the safer option, taking everything into account. Johnson's none too popular, especially among radicals on both sides of slavery. Okay, wow, that actually helped a lot. Telling Johnson to go F himself actually helped us out a lot. Alright. A new and small but growing abolitionist third party called the Liberty Party has formed, which would later become the Free Soil Party, I believe, and is mostly siphoning votes from abolitionist Whigs in the far north of New England. Will you address this party in any way? Let's stay silent. There's nothing wrong with this response. Alright, perfect. Wait, what? How am I losing again? Oh my gosh. No. Retro. So by not addressing him, I somehow made it worse? What? The most contentious issue since the formation of the Republic is the slavery issue. An issue that even then divided the founders. Although several compromises continue to kick the can down the road, would you care to offer any stance on slavery? Actually, let's just try to go crazy with it. Since I don't like Van Buren and we're gonna lose anyway, we might as well just go nuts with it. Feeling bipolar? Okay, yeah. Wait, that actually helped us a bit. I think we're losing the entire South, which is just wild for a Democrat. We're losing almost the entire South. Wow. Since the election of 1828, internal improvements have been pushed relentlessly by Henry Clay in a series of ambitious proposals known as the American System. Oh yeah, we need to be anti-Henry Clay in order to win, because Democrats hated Henry Clay for the whole corrupt bargain back in 1824, where he supposedly stole the election from Jackson and gave it to John Quincy Adams in the House. So we need to be very anti-Clay. Some are wondering whether or not you could have done at least something to satisfy the northern wing of the party, but you've managed to satisfy demands of the southern wing at least. Did that actually help us? No, it doesn't really seem like it. Advisors, I recommend you send some speakers to key states. Any states you have in mind? Well, let's see. Maybe Ohio? Nah, Ohio is just 14 points. Yeah, there's no way we're winning that. We gotta keep Pennsylvania at least. This day will be critical. Wait, what? How'd I lose it by speaking there? What? Oh my god, this is the same problem I ran into last episode. What will be your Indian policy as president going forward? Will you be general on the Indians? Oh yeah, we'll be general with them. What is this hippy-dippy piece you're talking about? You're supposed to be Andrew Jackson's successor. Oh my gosh, hippy-dippy. So I guess I'm a 19th century hippie. Harrison is a senile old granny who is way too old to be president. I mean, this is true, as he was for the longest time, William Henry Harrison was the oldest president ever elected until Ronald Reagan got elected at 69. Okay, let's just hope this doesn't go badly. Unfortunately for you, Harrison drastically ramps up his campaign appearances, making the attacks on his age irrelevant. Why do I always get the worst answer? I mean, true, that's exactly what happened historically, but it's like, that's the last thing I wanted. Another bubbling issue is that of Texas. Some radicals are pushing for its annexation, including John C. Calhoun. Screw Calhoun. He's the one who started the nullification crisis. Screw him. As president, you have mainly avoided annexation. In a second term, would you push to annex Texas or keep the status quo? I do believe we should annex Texas, which, the thing is, despite being a Democrat and the Democrats are all about annexation and manifest destiny. Van Buren was actually against annexation. So that's actually one of the few things that Van Buren and Clay actually agreed on. So we're going to support Van Buren's stance historically. Okay, let's see. That actually helped us a lot. Okay, that actually helped. Later support National Bank. Okay, let's see. No national bank. Okay, we'll just say this answer basically a betrayal of everything you stood for. Yeah, I figured that would happen. Yep, I figured that would fail. Retro! You support Andrew Jackson's bank war. These actions were completely fair, and I support Jackson's efforts against that abomination. Yeah, we got to go down the party line, because, I mean, we're just desperate at this point. We're losing so badly. Another small issue in this election is immigration, particularly from Irishmen and Catholics, or both. Nativism, a fiery form of anti-immigration, is on the rise in certain locales that just so happens to be Whig strongholds. That's actually true, as the Whigs that were actually there were actually a big nativist wing in the Whig Party, as the Whigs would later defect. Some of the Whigs, like the Northern Whigs, would defect into the Republican Party, while along with the Free Soil and the Liberty parties, they would also work together to form the Republican Party. While the Southern Whigs would turn into the Know Nothing Party, which was a nativist anti-immigrant party. And as an Irish American myself, I basically say screw you to the nativists, because, I mean, but I feel targeted. America's a nation built on immigrants. It's a good way to turn out the immigrant vote. Nativism appears to be rising in certain regions, so the states will likely won't vote for you in any case. Oh no! I'm losing even worse! No! Retro! Oh! I lost the entire South except for South Carolina. This could be like a Reagan-style loss. A Reagan-style landslide loss. Where I'm just gonna win one state. Most likely South Carolina. That's the only state I can really win in, because it's one-party state. Would you ever support lifting the so-called gag rule, which allows Congress to shelve anti-slavery petitions? I mean, let's see. Ending the gag rule is definitely a Whig perspective. At this point, I'm gonna lose anyway, so it's like, why do I even care at this point? Does it make sense to attack Harrison for Henry Clay's involvement in the corrupt bargains? Yeah, we'll attack for this. See, it's a bit odd you decided to press this point. It's a bit old news at this point, and Henry Clay isn't even on the ballot. Yeah, I figured that would make things worse. Wait, that actually helped a little. Not much, but it still did something. Come on. What? No! The attacks actually backfire on you as Harrison accuses you of weaponizing the justice system. Oh no! Retro! The election is in its final stretch, about a week away. The final visits will be crucial. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna lose everything by this point, so we're just gonna try to see if we can cling to New York. Just cling on to New York! Okay, at least we got South Carolina, which we were pretty much gonna get guaranteed to get anyway. Oh yeah, so far we're already losing. We're already losing, oh my god. Oh my gosh, we're already losing. Let's see. Harrison won North Carolina with 75% of the vote, jeez. 66%, 68%. Man, this is embarrassing. I think we actually did worse than Van Buren did historically. Yeah, I think we actually did far worse than Van Buren did historically. Yeah, that is really bad. Like, yeah, I know for a fact we did worse. Yeah, we did way worse. Okay, so wow, New Hampshire is actually pretty close. Wow. Okay, so let's see if we did actually better or worse. Okay, so we actually did worse in every possible way. So Harrison got, wait, what? He got 220 electoral votes while we got 57. So we actually did right around the same? But we lost a lot more states. I mean, because Van Buren won Virginia, Alabama, Illinois, and New Hampshire. So we lost all those, but yet we managed to win New York. So I guess it's somewhat bittersweet, as Harrison got a bit more popular, bit larger of a popular vote margin. He went from 52 to 55. But we also went down too, from 46 in real life to 42. This is actually kind of mixed results. I mean, we obviously did worse than Van Buren, but Harrison also did worse too somehow. Overall, I'd have to give this mod a 10 out of 10, because this is another really solid mod.